In Kenosha, Wisconsin, Michael Bell Jr. was shot and killed by the police after an officer mistakenly screamed that Michael had taken the officer's gun. The officer's account of the incident was sharply contradicted by multiple eyewitnesses, forensic evidence, and DNA analysis. Yet the Kenosha Police Department discounted all of this and concluded its investigation in just 2 days, claiming that Michael Bell was killed because, they say, he was trying to disarm Officer Eric Strausbaugh. A subsequent review by the medical examiner stated that the KPD's conclusions are forensically impossible. In spite of all this, and repeated requests from Michael Bell's father for an independent investigation, multiple Wisconsin agencies have refused to act. And perhaps even worse, there is evidence that these agencies have conspired to block an independent investigation. In this segment, we expose several examples of that evidence. The homicide and the cover-up in the Michael Bell investigation persists. Everything emanated off of the district attorney. And Mike Graveley has been less than forthcoming with the facts of this case, and in fact has twisted some of the facts of this case and has stood in the way of an independent investigation taking place. Now, there's one other point regarding District Attorney Graveley, and Mike, I want to address this. This is text messages that we discovered through open records just about a year ago, where DA Graveley was communicating with Sheriff Beth and others to yield a common characterization of the Bell incident.
Citizens in Wisconsin have to conduct a police investigation into a police shooting. And we don't have subpoena authority. The only means that we had for ourselves was open records requests. And we made multiple open records requests to the city, and we were pushed aside. I finally had to bring in the leading open records request attorney in the state, and she put enough pressure on the city for them to start giving us documentation. And one of the things that we uncovered, and this is in our report, and you'll see this because we're going to give you the basics of it, but one of the things that we uncovered is that the district attorney, the chief of police, and the sheriff were all on a first-name basis. They were texting back and forth. In fact, we got this text where they were joining together with the chief of police to block an investigation into his own department.
The text message that Mr. Bell is referring to originated from District Attorney Michael Graveley to Kenosha Chief of Police Dan Miskinis. Graveley begins his text by saying, "Dan, who are you in touch with at DCI, and have they agreed to a meeting date?" DCI is the Wisconsin Division of Criminal Investigation. Graveley goes on to say, "I'm hoping to talk to the sheriff today about a joint letter on Bell." Graveley is referring to Sheriff David Beth. The reference to a joint letter constitutes collusion and violates the independence that these agencies should have honored when evaluating the Michael Bell case. In the reply text, Chief Miskinis responds to DA Graveley saying, "I do not have a meeting date yet, and it's the director I am meeting with." The director is Brian O'Keefe of Wisconsin's Division of Criminal Investigation.
And they denied it. You will see a newspaper article that says this text is denying it, but then you will also see that we have police statements, we have emails exchanged between them. You have to understand that most of the families in the state of Wisconsin cannot spend $40,000 in open records attorney's fees to go ahead and uncover police misconduct. Go ahead and advance. This is one of the email exchanges. Dave, that's David, Sheriff Beth. sending it to Michael Graveley and counsel for the county. Unless you feel different, this is my final letter. You can see that they're drafting a joint letter to Block Bell to get a proper investigation.
And what's important here is this is indicative of DA Graveley and others saying other agencies have looked at this and they've turned it down. So there's no reason to open up an independent investigation because it's already been adjudicated. But as Mike is describing, they're all working off the same conversation. You know, garbage in, garbage out. And no one is going back and actually looking at the evidence, at the mirror, at the lack of DNA, at the forensics, at the eyewitness accounts, at the shell casing, at the blood on the hood. All that stuff is completely discarded and they get caught up in process.